a new opportunity. Welcome to my tutorial for today. I hope everyone is doing fine. Thank you for being here with me. I appreciate all of you. So today we are going to be making this very beautiful top, this double peplum top, but instead of using 1440 degrees, I'll be using 1080 degrees because my client is quite slim, and if I use that 1440, it will look a little cumbersome on her. Okay, that's why I'll be using 1080 degrees, which means I'll be dividing her waist into 3. Okay, so let's just quickly get started. I have here this fabric for it. By the time I'm done, I should be able to tell you how many inches I used. I'll also be using this net fabric also for the front part as seen on that picture. Okay, sorry please, along the way my file got corrupted, so this part of the tutorial I have to repeat it using my lining. Please, I hope you understand. I'm going to be repeating exactly what I did with the fabric, but this time with the lining. Okay, like I said, for the peplum, I'll be dividing my client's waist measurement into 3. Okay, and the waist I'm working with is 28 inches, into 3 is 9.3. Then that 9.3, I will divide it by 6.28 to get the radius. I hope you get that. So for the first layer of the peplum is going to be 3 pieces. The second layer also 3 pieces to make the complete waist measurement. I hope it is well understood, because I am dividing my waist into 3. Okay, so my peplum is going to be 3 pieces, but by the end of the day I should join them together to get just one peplum that has 1080 degrees circumference. Okay, I hope you understand that. So I'll be using this lining to cut the peplum. Okay, and also the back side. Okay, so I'll fold my fabric into 2 this way, then I'll fold again this way. Okay, then I'll measure my radius here and then the length of my peplum here. This is for the first layer of the peplum. Okay, so now having folded it, I'll measure my radius. So the 9.3 is 1/3 of the waist measurement I'm working with. I hope you understand it. Okay, so for that 1/3 I'm going to find the radius. So the 1/3 is 9.3, the radius is 1.5 approximately. So I'll measure 1.5 here. This way I'll measure it round. And then I'll measure the length of my peplum, 9.5. Okay, and cut. So I'm going to cut 3 more of this, and then I will cut again another 3, but this time a shorter one. I hope you understand it. Okay, so here we have it. This is 3. When you join it, it will give you the full circumference of our waist. This is another 3. This is the shorter one. Okay, so I'm going to be lining all of them separately. I will open them up at one end this way. Each of them I'll just open them up at one end so that I'll be able to join the 3 to make up one circle. Okay, so I'm going to be lining them separately. When I'm done lining, when I sew the lower part like this, I will then join the three together to make one circle. I hope you understand it. I will join both the lining this time around and the fabric. I hope you understand it, please. I'm sorry my file got corrupted, but I'm trying my best to explain what I did. Okay, I will line it. I will sew the lower part like this only. When you sew it, you now have fabric on one side, lining on the other side. Then you now bring this fabric and this fabric together with the lining corresponding with it and join together. I hope you understand me, please. I am very sorry. I'm going to do that on this side and then on this other side. All right. And then for the back panel, this is very easy. Half length is 16 inches. I will add 1 inch extra, 17 inches. Zipper allowance of 1.5 inches. And then I'll take my shoulder measurement, 16 inches. This is 3 inches for shoulder slope. On my shoulder, I'm coming down by 1 inch. Join it to the shoulder slope. Okay, from this place now, I'll measure my armhole, 7.5 inches this way. And then I'll place my bust measurement. 34 into 4 is 8.5, showing allowance of 2 inches. Then my waist measurement, 28 into 4 is 7. I'll add 3 inches here at the waist measurement, 2 for sewing allowance, 1 for that. Okay. And then for the neck here, the neck depth for the back is just 1 inch. I'll maintain the neck width of 3 inches here. So this was exactly what I did for the back. And then I don't have to waste this. You now cut this way, just so that everybody will understand. Okay, so this now is the back panel. Thank you so much. So I cut this out using the shoulder measurement, which is 16 inches. It's here. And then 3 inches for shoulder slope, 1 inch here, also for shoulder slope. Coming down by 3 inches. Okay. My half length is 16 inches, which is here. This is 16 inches here. I added 1 more inch extra for seam allowance and another 1 inch for, because there is a cut at the chest line. That's why I added this extra 1 inch, so that by the time I use half inch to join the lower part, use half inch to join the upper part, we will now arrive at 17 inches. Okay. And then I'll use half inch also from 17 inches to join the peplum, then half inch to join at the shoulder, and then we have our 16 inches, which is our half length. I hope it's clear enough. So instead of 16 inches, I have 18 inches. Okay. I will also remove 1 inch here. So I'm starting my measurement from this 1 inch. I want to make it as clear as possible so that those who didn't understand the previous one will understand this one. So from here now, I'll measure my shoulder to bust, my under bust, and the rest of them. Okay, so from here, not here please, from here, I measure my shoulder to bust, which is 10.5. I added half an inch, that's why you have it at 11. Then 3 inches below, that's my under bust, 3 inches up. And then this is my nipple to nipple measurement, 8 inches. Then I included 1/4 of an inch, which is my sewing allowance. So what I marked here is 4¼ all the way down. So I'll just connect from here using a slight curve. Okay. Okay. I will notch these 3 points. And for the side, I will just place this, making sure I have up to 3 inches, as I usually say, towards this side. Then you mark the notch points. Next will be to measure your armhole, which is 8 inches. And then you place your bust and waist measurement. Bust 34 into 4 is 8.5. 2 inches sewing allowance. Like I always say, even if you don't add this sewing allowance, the curve that will come here will cover for the sewing allowance. Waist 28 into 4 is 7. I'll be adding 3 inches sewing allowance. Next thing to do will be to measure about 2½ inches here. If you decide to use 2 inches, it is still okay because the bust I'm working with is not too big. That's 33 inches. Okay. This is for one, I'll cut the second one. Okay, so having cut it, I'm going to cut the wooden and the lining and line them before I now put neckline, okay, and remove the cut I will take away from here. I would have joined the 2 sides to the center front, okay. When I cut the lining and line properly, I would have joined here before we now remove the cut here. Okay. And then also for the sleeve, by the time we join the front and the back, we get the circumference of the armhole before we now cut the circle sleeve. So here I've lined the back. I've also put my dart. This is the front. Okay, we're here to make our cut. And this is the peplum. Remember, we divided our waist into 3. So I have here 3 parts of the circle. So that if I'm to make it into a circle, it's going to give us 3 layers of circle. Okay, this is what I mean. This is one circle. This is the second one. And this is the third one. I have both the long and short peplum joined together. So this is what I mean. 1, 2, 3. I hope you see it. That's because I divided the waist into 3 parts. All right. I hope you know how to do the joining. I didn't think of to show how I did the joining. I lined each of the pieces. The 3 pieces, I lined them separately. Okay. And then I joined them at one end. That was how I went about it. So we move over to the upper bodice, I mean the front one. We added extra inches at our half length because of the cut we are going to be putting here. So right away we are going to be putting the cut. You place your fabric on fold like I've just done. You decide where the cut is going to come in. Mine will be coming in here. So this is where mine will come in, and the cut is just 1 inch. Okay, I hope you see it. So I will cut this one. And also this. Okay. Now we are still going to be making use of this one. This is the one we are going to be replacing with our net fabric, and then we'll cover this one using this lace fabric, just as was seen in the picture. Okay, so I'm going to fold my net and cut this out. I'll be replacing this with the net fabric. Okay, you see the way I placed it. I'll be cutting the net into two because I want it thick, and then on each side I should have half an inch for joining. On each side also I should have half an inch for joining. So in all I should cut 2 inches of the net as against 1 inch of our fabric that we removed earlier. Okay. And then for this one, we will just cover it with this lace fabric. Okay. So this will be used to cover this upper part. Okay. Now having cut this, I will also make sure I put this cut in the lining. So I'll fold my lining into two. Place this one like so and cut. Okay. If this is no longer enough for the upper part, you cut another one, but it's still okay. Okay, so this is the lining for the upper part. But first I'm going to the machine and cover this fabric using this lace fabric. And then for this, you make sure you got the midpoint first of all. Just give it a notch, and then we're going to be joining this net fabric first here before we do our lining. Okay, so it's going to go this way. Okay, I only arranged it properly. First you notch the midpoint just as we did here, so that when you are joining you make sure that this notch corresponds with the notch here. Okay, remember what I added as my sewing allowance here is half an inch up, half an inch down. So when I'm joining here I must make sure I exhaust that half an inch. If not, it will become over long. Okay, so I'll go to the machine. When I'm done with this, I will then attach the net fabric to this upper part. Okay, now I've done the joining of the net. I hope you see it. I only placed it this way and sewed. I've also covered this upper part. Now also at the upper part, I made sure I notched the midpoint. Okay, the same thing goes for this one. All right, so the next thing I will do is to attach this one to this net, making sure that the two notches are meeting each other. And as always, I will make sure I take the half an inch I added for my sewing allowance at this upper part and the one I put here. Okay, so I'll go to the machine and sew it like this, taking away half an inch so that we have 1 inch left. Okay, all right, so we have it this way. I hope you see it. So next thing to be done will be to now attach our lining. First I will attach that of the lower part this way. This is the remaining one. Okay, I will attach the lower part. Okay, I will sew here and then the two sides, and then when I sew it I open it up, then come to the upper part and attach the lining as well. I will attach this way. Okay, I will sew this way and then turn it over, but first let me do the lower part. Okay, so I hope you see it. You should have something like this when you do your own lining. So the second one is the upper part. Okay, this is the upper part. Okay, we place it this way. Sorry, you place this way and then you sew. Okay, okay, so you see the upper part as well. I hope you see it neatly lined. Yours should look like this if you got it correctly. The next thing I will do will be to just put our neck width. For the back we use 3 inches, so we are going to maintain the same 3 inches. And the neck depth should be 4. Okay, I'll use 3.5 inches. Okay, having done this, we're almost through. The next thing we'll do will be to join the front and the back bodies at the shoulder. Okay, I'll join at the shoulder, close at the two sides using the body measurement. So I will join here, close it at the two sides using the bust and the waist measurement. Okay, and also I will attach the peplum at the lower side. Okay, by the time I'm done closing the shoulder and the side, I will then measure the circumference of the armhole and use it to cut the peplum for the sleeve. All right, so I've made the joining. I hope you see the wave. I hope you can see it. Okay, the next will be to now cut the sleeve. Now the circumference of my armhole is 16 inches. divided by 6.28 will give us 2.6. Sorry. So I'm going to be cutting a circular sleeve, okay, using the radius of 2.6. I will also measure the circumference of the neckline and use it to cut a straight piece of fabric that we are going to be using at the neck. So for my neck it is 20 inches. So I'm going to be cutting a straight piece of fabric that I will be putting at the neck to the tune of 20 inches, and then I will cut a sleeve, our circular sleeve. All right. Now in that picture it was 2 steps of circular sleeve, but for this I'll be using just 1 step, and I'm cutting the 2 at the same time. So I'm folding my fabric into 2 and then into 2 again. I'll also fold this way. Okay, so I'm cutting the 2 sleeves at the same time. All right. Okay. Our radius is 2.5. So I'm measuring 2.5 round. Okay, this is the midpoint. I will then open it up. Okay. All right, this is the midpoint. Remember that. And this is 2.5 away from the midpoint. That is our radius. Okay. So from this 2.5, I'll measure another 2.5 all the way round. The reason I do this is so that the lower part of the sleeve will not be too long. That's why I do it this way. Okay. So we now have it this way. I hope you get it. Instead of this way. You see, this is the center. And if you cut it this way, the upper part and the lower part is equal. But with this way now, the upper part is now longer than the lower part. So we are making use of this one. But then we are measuring the length from the midpoint, which is here. I hope you get that. Be using 8.5 inches, 8.5 inches, 8.5, 8.5. Okay, so I'm cutting this one first. Okay, and then I'll open it up and then cut this one. Alright, so this is the lower part of the sleeve. This is the upper part. I will cut the lining and line them accordingly. And this is for the neck line. Now if you like, you can use a lace fabric to still cover it. If you like, you can use a plain fabric like this. Like I said, the circumference of my neck is 20. Since our fabric is on fold, it's supposed to be 10, but I'll add few inches allowance. I'll measure 11.5. Okay, and then the width is 3 inches, so that by the time I fold it here, we have 1.5 inches, and after attaching it to the neck, we should have about 1 inch left. Okay, so here are the 2 sleeves. I've lined them. This is for the neck. I used just plain net to tape it also. So I will attach the sleeve to the armhole area, the lower side, making sure it corresponds with the joining at the armhole area at the lower side. The longer part of the peplum should sit at the shoulder joining. Okay, and then I will attach also this strip at the neckline round. When I do that, The last thing would then be to attach our zipper, and then we are done. And finally, we've come to the end of the tutorial. I've attached the sleeve. Also, I've done the neck and the zipper as well. Because this zip is not so long, I had to close up some part of the peplum. I hope you see it before I now started doing my attachment. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Take care of yourself until we get to see my next tutorial. I urge you to please keep trying out new styles, keep trying out new patterns to improve yourself. Stay safe, okay? And show kindness to people. I love you from the bottom of my heart, and bye. This is just to give you a tip of how the blouse looks like. Okay, I'm just placing it against my body so that you see a little